Cherie is back here.
Sorry, I
You
couldn't
can hear me?
Now, yes.
Thank goodness. Gentlemen, ladies, we have a technical difficulty earlier for 15 minutes. For some unknown reason, the universe is sending me signal. I have to try and try. But you know what? There's a quote from Bruce Lee. Patience is not passive. On the contrary, it's a very good strength. Maybe I said it wrong. It is a concentration strength, right? So it's a long way. I actually had this podcast. I wouldn't say a podcast, it's the YouTube channel for Legion Baker about more than 3 years ago. And my first guest is Cherie Wu. And she did promise me that when her second book is here, she will come back to the show. And I have such a great honor to invite my dear and good friend Cherie to come to the show. How are you, Cherie?
Thank you, Legend. It's so nice to be here.
I'm so glad. You look so nice. And the background with piano. How did you do that? Is it magic?
It's your magic, I think.
Yeah, those magic, right? You know what? I kind of starting a bit late, the technical difficulty. I prepare, you know what? I prepare so many stuff, but you know what? I want to show the viewer your book. This book is so beautiful done. The artist did a great job, but that's not the main thing here. The main thing is we want to hear what you talk about your book. So I recall back in 1994, you know the director Ang Lee, he directed this movie called the Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. That's for back in the early 1990, I think 1994. And I watched the movie with back then. A couple of years later with my boyfriend back then, maybe after 1998. And they said in the movie, they said there's a hamburger man. Why do you think this is a hamburger man? Why? You only eat hamburger. And that's part of like a Chinese culture, right? They think all the Westerners eat hamburger, which is not true. There's all different kind of culture. But that movie is talking about the family issue and conflict between the generations. And your book, first time I read it was in traditional Chinese. You know what? About 27 months ago, that was July 2021. I was laughing so loud, but I have also a deep thoughts about that. Your book is about 4 generations across it. I wonder, how did you get inspired to get this idiom relay tales? I think it's a Chinese horoscope, right? How did you
Right.
get inspired to write it and using this 12 animal from rat to pig? I want to make it closer and make it a 60 by side story and string it together. That's so brilliant. And I read your English version just now, just earlier in September. So I really can't wait to let you talk about it.
Yes, thank you, Legend. First of all, I started uh, being fascinated with EDM Chen games when I was in grade school. When I was a third grader, every day my teacher would lead us to play this game. She would divide us into 2 groups if we behave well, that is.
Is it in Taiwan back then?
Yes, that was in Taiwan. And the game is working like this. You come up with an idiom which has the first character matching the previous idiom's last character. So whoever cannot relay this or come up with some new idioms will lose. And I remember that I was always the one who saved the day. And I was so elated every day to just play this game. But I didn't know how useful this idiom, our heritage is, until I started working for Netflix. At Netflix, I work as a language consultant. One of my job duties is to trim other people's synopsis. And the powerful tool I used was idioms, the Chinese idioms. Due to the screen space and general conciseness, Netflix has a very hard rule of character count. When I learned of this restriction, I felt so lucky because Chinese can use very concise language to describe a very complex concept.
Like
And
four character
yeah,
in
4 characters in one idiom. And so the character count was never a problem to me. Rather, I feel that I ran into my favorite game again, because every day I was like, okay, this synopsis too long, exceeded the character count. I'm going to cross it and use a very suitable and powerful idiom for that. So I also remember that when I was doing this in Netflix, all the coworkers told me that whenever I revised the idiom or revised the translation, they could tell it was my work because it just carried my signature. And I started wondering why. And people didn't know the power of the idioms. Then you also mentioned about the 12 horoscope signs.
Yeah, the so-called Chinese, we can say
No,
Chinese astrology, horoscope, or zodiac, the wheel.
and because I also noticed one thing. Each year, when the new year comes, the Lunar New Year comes, Chinese media usually wish the audience or the readers a prosperous year by with a Chinese idiom with that symbol or the homophone of that symbol.
Like this year will be a rabbit. How would you say that? I mean, for this, rabbit will be 2.
Yeah, sometimes people with that character in the middle too. So it would be Yang Mei Tu Qi or Yang Mei Tu Qi. 2 will be in the middle.
Yeah, because our channel actually is for those people who can speak English, right? English listener. So we'll minimize more into English. That would be good, so they can understand.
Yeah,
That's
so the
fine.
Yang Mei will be the triumphant.
Triumph.
And
Yeah.
yes. But in my book, I borrowed this concept, and it's a free form translation, so that I feel that this is sort of like writing mandala. I don't know if you are familiar with mandala. Mandala
Of course,
is
I do. Yes, mandala.
a lot of know about mandala. I feel that this is a writing mandala. You could freely connect your thoughts into the next chapter or next story. And so for this, I utilized this 12 symbols, and I gave myself a challenge. For each symbol, I would relay with 5 stories
Mhm.
each, so that altogether.
Just a second, because I feel like some kind of pop, pop, pop sound. Maybe I can. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I think maybe that's better, but you can speak louder. Yeah. I'm sorry to disturb you because I keep on hearing I don't know if it's the audience, because it's live, I cannot look at the chat or something if they hear pop, pop, pop sound. But it's okay. You can hear me all
Yes,
right? Okay,
yes.
continue. Continue, please.
Okay. So it forms a cycle of a Chinese lunar calendar for 60 years. We call it a cycle. And so I gave myself this challenge that I wanted to write 60 stories. And as I wrote, I remember I felt a lot of energy was restored. And so I'm actually creating, I created a writing form so that people could utilize to either restore your own energy or to help you connect to your family lineage and dig out more roots or anything that you want to uh, open up your creativity block. That's one of the things that I also would was not aware, but now I think it is a very big benefit of after you read this book, you will find, maybe you can do that too.
You know what? That is so true about this. But I would like personally to take this opportunity to tell the viewer about your success. So I think when we, as a writer, we write a story, it's also part of a healing too. So I would say this book has already honored your ancestors, and it carrying on your lineage, and you have achieved an immediate success. Correct? Would you
Yeah, I
agree
think,
that?
yeah.
Some sort. Some sort.
One of the
No,
best stories that in this book, I actually asked around. I did a mini survey with my readers, and I found that they love one of the stories the most. Almost everyone loved that story. Is a concerted effort, 齐心协力. It's about the story of a mother and daughter, and how the daughter resolved whatever was not resolved before her mother passed.
yeah, that's made me a little bit like to cry too. Because we all have mother, and we could have daughter or dog as animal, as our pet, as like a sibling or something like, right. So this is a very universal. So I'm so glad that you will be able. I was going to get my ebook out, but you know what, we were having difficulty at the beginning. But this book is in English form, and the illustration is beautiful. I just wish more reader can come up. So this is an opportunity to reboot your book selling, hopefully. But I sing your praise also. When you published this book, I heard that you reached the bestseller on Amazon. That is also a true, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
thank you.
Correct. Okay. Cherie is such a humble girl, but I'm like a horse. I just go rebellion. I want to tell the whole world about it. I
Thank
have
you,
horse.
Lid.
No, so please, if you are having the same heritage, you probably can guess how old I am now, because it's 12 years a cycle, right? If you are born in right now, this year's rat, so if there's a cusp, so every 12 years come back to rat or rabbit or horse, something like that. But this is not really a point here. I like to talk about many times you mention about you are very good. You have such a good humanity to the world because you wrote about the daily life. Um, how it has transpired, because in the book you talk about shelter in place, like people, a lot of them, they were living in Silicon Valley, right? They were like a lot of people swarming in back then in pandemic. Now we are in post pandemic. How it has been transpiring, the whole thing.
I talk about the homeless issue in my book, and unfortunately, in San Francisco, not precisely Silicon Valley, but San Francisco, now it becomes the the huge center of the homeless now. And I don't know if you heard of it from the
I
news,
watched
but
TV. Yeah.
a lot of homeless gather there. I think it's a big issue there now.
So
And
it's getting worse, not better.
no, it's not getting better. It's horrible. A lot of drug users went
Yeah.
there,
Yeah, I watch
and
Fox News. That's my husband's channel. So it's a lot of
it's
reporters there reporting this. Unfortunately, that's what happened. But it's good that you pointed out like what happened. It's a book, but it's created nonfiction for you. But you talk about the real life experience to the readers and where they can really resonate about what happening in the United States because we all live in the United States, both you and me and most of the listener here. I don't know other parts of the world they can listen to this, but that's part of our life, right?
yeah. Also,
Yeah,
I think people need to know that they can get out of their stress or their challenges. They just need to exercise more of their willingness.
say it
And
again.
also for I do believe homeless people can get out of their struggle. Think about the author of the Conversation with God. Uh,
Mhm.
I think it's Neil Walsh.
Yeah,
He got out of his homeless situation by writing the Conversation with God. And so, whenever people say homeless people are hopeless, I really want people to know that if they have their well, there's a well, there's a way.
that's right. It's not like you want to just let down and go into the rabbit hole, just keep staying there without waking up. People need to wake up and just work hard, right?
Yeah,
People
work
work
hard,
hard to
believe in
get into a
the
certain state, right? Sometimes we envy, oh, how come these people are so rich? But you don't know behind the scene how much they work so hard, you know. So don't envy people who are rich. Actually, they bless us a lot more than we know. Anyway, you know what? I know your bio. You have such a great, great thing that I want to talk about energy healing. I kind of know because I'm your friend, but most of you don't know your gift. Other than you have such a sharp eye review for the work you do, but I think you naturally have a gift for healing. Can you talk a little bit about how did you find this natural gift, and how have you been further develop it and utilize it to help people? Can you talk
yes,
about and share? Is it
sure.
okay?
I'll be
You
glad
are not
to.
comfortable. You don't have to.
I will be very happy to. Actually, I found this gift a long time ago when my first book came out, but at that time it was being developed. And then when I worked for Apple, I can say that because I don't work for them now. I can mention their name now. Um, in the lab, I sort of helped people and with all kinds of situation. And I also was very privileged to have my husband support me in this regard. He actually asked me to document everything I did with helping people with my own energy. And so I also documented the experiment I did with fellow linguist in the lab that every night I'm here and the linguist was in Berkeley. So I sent positive energy to her so that she could sleep better. And she did report that it went well. And I also helped another person who taught taught English in Nepal, and she said she couldn't find a decent medical profession there, and the only thing she could do was send me an email. So I experimented with her. So that was the start of my journey. But back then I did a few, and also I was a trained hypnotist, and nobody taught me by combine these two together, and I found it really useful. But back then, I I had an issue. I didn't know how to resolve it until now. Um, I always got attached to my clients' issues. So if she or he didn't get well, or he or she got well after my helping, then she got an abusive husband, and the husband said something to her, and I would feel it, and I would feel bad for her. And that was something that I didn't know what to do. But now, recently, I found that, hey, that issue is resolved now. I could be a true professional. And when I help people, I could feel them and sense them. But then after they go back to their life, I too go back to my own life, and I don't have to attach to their issues. So that was a big breakthrough for me.
Wow.
And yeah, so I could sense people from here remotely, and anybody who is in in the corner of their world, and I sense their creativity block, their stress, their health issues, and I would send energy to them real time, and they after they felt it, I would teach them how to practice, because everything takes practice. It's not that I don't give people just a cure all, and say, okay, that's it. No, there's not such a thing. I teach people how to switch your negative or stifled thinking into a positive thinking, so that your life could be brighter and more efficient, more productive, and more constructive.
That's so good. I think you will help more people with your life experiences and the way you develop your gifts. I would love more people to know about you. How do they follow you in this endeavor? Can you tell the viewer a little bit? And then,
Sure.
or I can put it on the show note, or if you can just briefly
Uh,
tell how people can follow you regarding to this.
Taoist Energy Work is a fans page on Facebook. That's a new fans page. And also, if people are interested, they can send an email to Taoist, TAOIST energy.work@gmail.com.
That's so kind of you. I think after the show, I'm going to compile everything about your information that you want to share. You are publicly willing to share with others, and let the show know. But you guys have to wait for me. I'm kind of slow today from the very start, but just be patient, right? Okay, we don't have too much time left because like a 30 minutes, but I probably will extend 5 minutes more. Is Shuri okay for that? Because I have a couple of things I would love to cover. Um, let's switch gear, okay? I know this over right there when I was reading your bio. Now you are a lyricist. You create song, kind of write the lyrics for the song, right?
Yes.
I'm very interested about it. Maybe if you don't mind, you can tell people about your experience. Now you have a new title.
I was actually commissioned to do a song, to write a song lyric for Chinese Railroad Workers Descendant Association, and also the Utah Chinese Choir. This is a very meaningful task. In the past, I think people's thoughts are evolving. In the past, Chinese railroad workers were totally ignored. And I think about 20 something years ago, people started lobbying and also evangelizing a lot of the Chinese ancestors' merits, and how hard they built the railroad for United States. But I think we also, right now, we are at the new era. We don't want to advertise the bitterness or the resentment of being neglected. I think for people to grow, we need to emphasize the warmth and what is the core value of our ancestor. And so, with that in mind,
Hardworking. What
how
you want to say? Hardworking.
what was the reason for those Chinese, the ancient Chinese, to come to United States? It was the belief and the faith that they wanted their family to live better. So with that in mind, I started writing that song with a little dialect, uh, Cantonese dialect, uh, in written in that song. And I heard that a lot of offsprings, descendants of those Chinese railroad workers, they felt deeply touched because I wrote exactly not only what those ancestors felt about. A lot of them also felt that I wrote about what they came to United States for, and they cried after they
So
heard my
it feel like resonating. It's written in Chinese.
It's written in Chinese, but there's a translated English title, not translated by me. They did with their usual collaborator. It's called Best of Luck, so they could find it on YouTube channel.
Okay. If you have the link, would you mind to send it to me, and then I can put it down the show note to share with the viewer. I would really appreciate that. So people who happen to find this new podcast, they can find your book and what you have been doing, and that would be a good free advertisement for Cherie Wu. I just
Yes,
like to joke a little bit. We are good friends. I don't mind to do as many as you want. You know what? Before we wrap up, I actually want to, if you don't mind, because I never got a chance to write a review for your Amazon, but I love to read what I wrote about my thoughts about your book. Okay, so here we go. This is the source of after reading Cherie Wu's Idiom Relay Tales from Legion Baker. That's me. From left aloud to deep silent, thought-provoking moment. Every family has its own conflicting moments and tensions. It can also be in supported and harmonious flow and vibe. We cannot always judge whether it is right or wrong. Everyone in this lifetime is to learn and to receive lessons. It is from the bittersweet joy and sorrow of life we taste being a human being. No one is perfect, yet we all have something to share and contribute to our family and society and the whole world. Is that a good review?
You make me have goosebumps.
You know, I wrote that just after I finished reading the idiom Relay Tales, and I just thinking I have to write something to honor this book and to share with the viewer. So this is such a great honor and privilege to be able to have Cherie to come to our show. And you know what? I have so many more, but I just cannot do more because our time is pretty confined. But if you like this podcast and if you are new, welcome, and please do subscribe to this channel so we can spread our words to more people. Our thoughts is important. You have a good thought, good deed, and you influence other people, and other people influence other people, and it will be a better world. We all want world peace, right, Cherie?
Yes,
And
definitely.
if you can, please yeah, if you can, I mean, the viewer, please give your thoughts, your comments to the show note down, the show note down below. You can do a comment, and so Cherie and I, we both can view what you think. Or if you are a shy person like me, you can email direct to me, which is events@legionbaker.com. My Legion is American Legion or Fresh Flower Legion pronunciation, but it is actually spelled like Ligin. Okay. And I like to say thank you so much to Cherie. We are a little bit over time. It's not my intention, but I think it will a little bit. So everybody know about we will be here. Maybe it's in the future. If you like Cherie to come, please do comment. Maybe because our friendship, she will be willing to participate, right? Cherie?
My honor. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So
Thank
I will end up with a little bit an intro, and we'll say goodbye to Cherie. Thank you, Cherie. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. It's my
Bye-bye,
delight.
Cherie.
Bye.